Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has recently faced significant criticism over his handling of anti-Semitic incidents in Australia, particularly following the recent attacks on the Jewish community. These events have sparked a call for stronger leadership from the Prime Minister and a more decisive response to this growing threat. In the wake of several attacks on Jewish Australians, including the firebombing of a synagogue in Melbourne and the vandalism of cars and buildings in Sydney, Prime Minister Albanese has publicly condemned the rise in anti-Semitism, calling it evil. His remarks came during a visit to the Sydney Jewish Holocaust Museum, where he announced a significant $8.5 million funding package aimed at supporting the museum's work and preserving the memory of the Holocaust. The Prime Minister, who was accompanied by Sydney MP Tanveer Ahmed, Independent Wentworth MP Allegra Spender, Labor Senator Deborah Neal, and the Special Envoy to Combat Anti-Semitism, Gillian Siegel, expressed his strong stance against anti-Semitic behaviour, emphasising the need to eradicate such hatred from society. Albanese stated, "Anti-Semitism is evil, and such incidents diminish us as a nation, as we witnessed again last night." His comments came amid a broader debate about Australia's role in the ongoing Middle East conflict and the country's approach to addressing the rise in hate crimes targeting Jewish Australians. He reiterated Australia's position on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, reaffirming support for a two-state solution. However, Albanese also clarified that the establishment of a Palestinian state should not involve Hamas, a stance he emphasized had long been shared by the Labour Party. Despite these strong remarks, Albanese has faced criticism from political opponents who argue that he has been too slow to respond to the recent spate of anti-Semitic incidents. Senior Coalition MP Susan Ley was particularly vocal in demanding stronger leadership from the Prime Minister. Speaking to Sky News, Ley criticised Albanese for not taking swift action against the perpetrators, stating, "This is not a peaceful protest. These are thugs and hooligans targeting Jewish people's homes, committing these terrible acts of intimidation and harassment." She called for arrests and a more decisive response to the rising tide of anti-Semitism in Australia. In response, Albanese and several senior ministers have condemned the recent incidents, describing them as acts of criminal behaviour aimed at intimidating the Jewish community. The Prime Minister also took the opportunity to underscore the broader values of Australian society, stating that Australians are generally respectful individuals who desire to coexist peacefully. "We reject this unacceptable criminal behaviour," he said in an interview with the ABC. Albanese also emphasised that the recent anti-Semitic attacks were not politically motivated and would not influence Australia's stance on the Middle East. "This is an attack on fellow Australians," he remarked, referring to the vandalism in Sydney, where the phrase, "Kill Israel," was spray-painted on a wall behind a burned car. New South Wales, NSW, Premier Chris Minns has also weighed in on the issue, pledging to identify the perpetrators behind the recent vandalism in the city. In a press conference, Minns defended Albanese against the criticism from the coalition, stating that the Prime Minister had consistently opposed racism throughout his career. He emphasised that the NSW Labour government was working closely with federal authorities to address the increase in anti-Semitic incidents, stressing the importance of ongoing communication and cooperation in tackling the issue. "We need to depend on both the federal government and security and intelligence agencies to tackle the widespread threat of anti-Semitic violence," said Premier Minns. He also described the recent vandalism as a calculated attack aimed at instilling fear in the residents of Sydney's eastern suburbs, an area with a significant Jewish community. Allegra Spender, the federal representative for Wentworth, condemned the attack as devastating to the local community, describing the incident as extremely frightening and heartbreaking. She confirmed that she had met with NSW police and government officials to discuss further actions to protect the Jewish community and ensure the safety of all Australians. The Australian government's response has included the establishment of Operation Overlight, a special task force designed to address anti-Semitic attacks. This initiative was announced following the firebombing of the synagogue in Melbourne last week. Despite these efforts, many in the Jewish community have expressed concerns about the perceived delay in taking decisive action. In a separate incident, Prime Minister Albanese was heckled during a visit to the Addis Israel synagogue in Melbourne. Security personnel had to escort him to his car after the confrontation, underscoring the intensity of the backlash against his leadership on the issue. The attack in the Sydney suburb of Woollahra, which follows a similar incident from late November where anti-Semitic graffiti was found on several buildings and a car was set on fire, marks the second such occurrence in the area in less than a month. 2 men have been charged in connection with the November incident. Thank you for tuning into Aussie Pulse. Stay with us for more updates on this important issue and other news affecting Australia and the world. We'll see you next time.